All right, and welcome everyone to the Ginette Biro Podcast. I'm Ginette Biro, and thank you all so much for joining me as always as we dive into the world of exploring consciousness. And so today we have a ton of things to talk about, and I say we because I'm talking about me and the guides of the light. The three guides of the light have been around me all weekend, really sharing some beautiful insights and some deep lessons. I don't know about you guys, but May and June for me were very much about deep lessons within, not in my external world so much, but in my internal world of the way that I think about things, perceive things for self, even perceive the way, this is when I realized, I think my relationship with spirit should be. Talk about that one. Anyways, it has been a really revealing couple months, but as they said in the beginning, they said, you're going to grow a lot from this. And I was kind of like, well, what do you mean? And they said, well, just, stick with the experience and you'll see what we're talking about. And again, with retrospect always being our greatest teacher, in retrospect, I can see that the value of going inward so deeply for myself was really profound in being able to further let go on my desire of how I feel, say, the world should be, or in my case, communication with spirit should be, because although I can communicate with spirit really well, being, given what I do for work, there are times where I wish they could bring in more clarity and less interpretation, right? Less, sometimes the messages can be more cryptic, sometimes they're super clear. And so it was interesting that I had these 2 months of experience where I felt like everything was really cryptic. And then over the weekend, they came in with so much more clarity. And one of the biggest lessons for me, which I can imagine is for many of you in different ways, was trusting the journey. That if we really live in alignment with our path, and when I say alignment with our path, I mean alignment with what is right for us within our being, what resonates at our core center. When we live in that alignment and we honor that alignment, we can trust in the journey. So that was really profound. So I wanted to share that with you guys in case you have also kind of been feeling like you're sort of in the dark and floating through this really whirly experience that we have right now, which, and that whirliness has to do with these changing energies we're in. So we're definitely going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the solstice, and we're going to talk about the powerhouse human beings that we are because we have emotion. But before we do, I wanted to take a moment first and really honor today. So I've got my orange shirt on. For those of you that aren't watching this on YouTube, I've got my orange shirt on today, very proudly wearing this to celebrate National Indigenous Day here in Canada. And it's really about honoring our unique heritage that we have as Canadians, the diverse cultures, but honoring the Indigenous of this land because of how turbulent it has been as Canada has grown into the Canada we know today. There's a lot of turbulence behind the scenes of that. And so it's really about bringing that to the surface. And there has been a lot that has come to the surface about that, even more so recently with the children's bodies that were found in at the school in Kamloops. And as hard as it is for those things to come up and for us to realize the reality of it, it's important that those things come up so that we have awareness, so that we can do things differently as a collective, as humanity. People are people. People are people. I'm going to say that again. People are people, regardless of color, gender, age. People are people. And everybody needs to be heard and cared for with compassion and have a space to feel safe. And so I think it is really important that we do honor this, honor what has come up, and honor today by wearing orange. My kids are dressed in orange. My husband has some orange on today. Like it's the smallest thing that we can do to show support for the transitioning times in Canada here, but also all over the world. So I just want to say that. It's really important and near and dear to my heart. So branching off from that, though, this revealing really speaks to where we're at in our cosmic cycles right now. Having it be, it's just been the solstice. So we're kind of actually still in the solstice. The 20th and the 21st is a summer solstice. And so this is a return of the light. This is a time that reminds us of the light within us and the sun's ability to help us heal by shining a light on things for a longer amount of time, to nourish, to reveal, and then to help mend and heal. That is this beautiful celebration of the summer solstice. And we have this equal part day and equal part night as well, meaning right now there is a beautiful cosmic balance. So I'm talking about the cosmic cycles. There's a beautiful cosmic balance in the sky that we can pull from. We can really pull from this balance of light and dark and bring that within us to help find a balance right now, because that's something that's really being asked of us, is to find a balance within. And so then if I take that and apply it to what I was talking about in the very beginning, is Spirit was asking me to go even deeper within so that I could find greater balance, which I see now that I'm coming out of that, right? And so this whole rest of this summer, as we move into the changes that are still going to be coming and still surfacing, because there are more, the key is if you know yourself, you can find your way back to balance. You can observe all the things around you and still come back to your point of balance within. That's a really important key. So with this energy of the solstice that we are really honoring right now, we also have clicked into a new timeline for the next 4 months, which allows Spirit the opportunity to give us insights of what's to come. Because what I understood, again, in these last 2 months was that this year kicked off and we were on a specific timeline where they could predict stuff, and then everything shifted and got really whirly. And there was this push-pull between light and dark energy. It was really huge. And it even caused a whirl for the spirit world too. They had to kind of go back and reconfigure the plan a couple times. And so they're coming out of that now. And they said we have a 4-month window at this point that they can give us insights about. And I thought that was really great. And so, you know, with this solstice, with the return of the light, it's like they're shining a light for us on the next 4 months. And some of the insights are, in the next month or so, we have a lot of ability to choose. And this comes with the balance. How do you find your balance? Well, balance comes from making conscious choices. So the next month is about making conscious choices that align for you, that help you find your balance in terms of how you live your life, what foods you put into your body, what brings you harmony, mending the things you need to mend, whether that be physically or within relationships or even your relationship with self, making choices that bring you back to balance. And the reason why that's so important is because the next month we step into another series of endings. And remember, with endings, sometimes something has to surface for something to then end. So we're going to be seeing more surfacing of truths. You may notice that in your own individual life, but we'll also see that societally or collectively, surfacing of truths to allow for endings, because these endings can put a stop to a way in which a pattern was and then help to transform into the way in which the pattern can be now, because we have awareness and knowledge. So then the month after that, we have, after these endings, we have this culmination. And I know some of you might think, well, endings and culmination, that's the same thing. The culmination is the tying up of all the loose ends because of the ending. It's the cleaning up. It's the cleaning up, I guess, is the best way to say it. That's what we have. We have the culminations. And so that's going to clean up all those loose ends that come because of the endings. Because I'm going to say some of the endings may be really peaceful and timely and something we can just release and let go. But Spirit said also some of the endings have the potential to be very transformative, very, very transformative. In fact, even shaking the foundations as we know it yet again. And I will say that some of the ways in which I'm seeing this can be connected to earthquake. I've seen this come up several times, and I've also been feeling it come up myself. And then as well, also connected to tsunamis. Now, I want to give a little clarifier here. When I see tsunamis, it doesn't always mean a literal tsunami of water, but it can. But the other way that I see tsunamis too is a wave of information or a wave of insight. Like COVID, to me, I kept seeing it like a tsunami. And of course, that was a wave of illness that came in and washed over everything. So I don't have exact clarity, but I do feel very much that it is connected to Mother Earth. So I feel there is a Mother Earth related event happening this summer that will literally shake the foundation. Very specifically, it feels like it's within North America as well. Yeah, something to do with Mother Earth. And yeah, they're saying, hold on one sec. Yeah, Spirit's saying just to hold tight for more information on that. So I think we'll be getting a little bit more, and I'll keep you guys posted. Even if the podcast is about something else, I'll do a little sidebar note of the updates of it. But at this point right now, there is something brewing to help shift more foundations. But again, remember, this shifting is so that we can really break free and move forward. Because the way that Mother Earth and the universe has done this is they have given lots of different opportunities for us to grow and change and evolve. And many people have. But when it's not enough, then they come in to start doing more physical things. So we may even, in fact, they're showing me my mind's eye right now, we may even see more forest fires happening, floods, definitely temperature changes. I mean, we're seeing that already. So there's a lot of things in which the Earth and the cosmos are using to shift things up. Now, those all really seem like doom and gloom, but if we come back to the original message, if you take this next month to really make choices that align for you, and if some of those choices are, you put together, say, an emergency kit, because it makes you feel better, and you know that that's the best that you can do in that situation, then do it. Right? If it means you move some of your money around or something like that, you can do those things. And this isn't a bad forewarning. This is more like, hey, there could be a storm coming. It's up to you what you do about it. But we will also get through it. So I want to leave that part with you guys because I think it's really important to be as upfront as possible. And again, like I said, we'll see where it goes. But the important thing here now, with all of this stuff going on, is it's important to recognize the powerhouse of emotion and how that really affects what we do and our choices. Because this is something that Spirit really talked to me a lot about this weekend, was emotions. And that as human beings, one of the reasons why a lot of the beings of the higher realms, or aliens, if you want to call them that, light beings, are really interested in human beings is because we have deep emotions. And many of them find that really fascinating because they've transcended emotions where they're not necessarily needed as much anymore to maneuver their journey. Whereas with human beings, we still have emotions. And although sometimes that can be really heavy, it can also be really bountiful and really beautiful. And so what we're missing in the understanding as humans, which is what I really came to understand on the weekend, is that our emotions are so powerful. We have a huge ability to create or destroy based on our emotions. And it's something that not enough people have actually tapped into the conscious awareness of. So I'm going to say that again. Our emotions allow us a huge ability to amplify creation or destruction. And if we tap into that more and we really use it consciously, think about what we can do on this planet. Because if we look back in our history, let's look at fear alone. Fear has always, and for a long time, been a great method of control. If we keep people in fear, and we've seen this in many, many circumstances in history, when we keep people in fear, people can be convinced to do certain things, right? It confines the expression of a person to follow a particular path, even if it causes them to deviate from their own. Fear is really powerful. But what if we added the energy of love, and I'm talking about the base emotions being fear and love, everything stems from those two. What if we were to transform everything in our world based on love, compassion, kindness, working for the greater collective, working in a way that benefits more versus the top tier, versus the top companies that control the way that finances filter down. You know, we could go on and on. What if we were to change that dynamic from fear to love, from selfishness to kindness, right? From judgment to compassion. Our emotion behind our purpose creates a huge amplification of energy. So Spirit is asking you, how are you using your emotions? Are you living in jealousy or resentment or anger? And if so, recognize that comes from a root of fear. What is the base fear you're experiencing because of that? And if you're willing to look at what that fear is, then sometimes you can transcend so much and then suddenly pop over to the side of love, and you're living in this world in your own perspective of compassion and kindness, which I can tell you feeds your bucket so much more than fear and fear and loss. Fear is a hole in the bucket. Love is an overflowing bucket. So when we realize this, we can really put this behind the things we're creating, the things we want to do, and remember that your ripples have a big effect. So if you're just, showing kindness to your neighbor or somebody at the grocery store or something, it goes beyond just that kindness that you did. It inspires energetically other people to do kind things for other people. It creates a ripple. So when we recognize that our singular emotions as our singular being create a ripple effect of emotions that really do move around the planet, we can start to create more change. So I thought that was really interesting too, because it was really like, emotions are a very human thing, yes, but you also get to choose what you're going to do with that. And if you like living in resentment and anger and jealousy, then, I guess that's where you're going to stay. But if you don't like it, consider what's on the other side. Consider why it is you're being, caught up or trapped or stuck in those energies. And what would you rather them be? What are the steps that you need to take to get to that other side of living in love and compassion? And so then the other thing I want to say, though, is I can share these insights easily, but it doesn't mean the process from going from one side of fear-based emotions to love emotions is easy. It's not always just a quick decision of like, well, I don't want to be afraid, so I'm not going to. I'm going to be, courageous. It takes will to do it, and it takes repetitive action. It takes you trying over and over again and choosing over and over again every time how you want to be. And so I really like to compare thoughts to a diet, because this makes a lot of sense to me, and it's always made a lot of sense to my clients, is just like a diet. If you want to lose, say, 20 pounds, right? If you want to lose 20 pounds, you have to be thoughtful. You have to make a conscious choice between everything you put in your mouth, because about 80% of the change in your physique, your fat loss, your muscle gain, is going to come from food. It's going to come from the fuel you put into your body. So every time you go to put something in your body, you have to consciously think, what is it that I want to put in? What is the best choice at this moment? And you choose accordingly. Then over time, your body starts to respond and change. The same thing goes with our thoughts, right? We can't just suddenly be 30 pounds lighter. And we can't just suddenly be happy. We have to consciously change our self-talk. We have to choose every time, does this really resonate or represent me or not? And if it doesn't, what is it going to be now? Because checking yourself on that loop is really important for finding the direction of where you want to go. So I say that with a lot of love and compassion, because it's not easy being humans with emotions, because emotions are really strong. But when we understand them and we know how to use them, then we can actually make them work to our benefit. And that was the thing that Spirit was really wanting to get through. They're like, Ginette, you can be frustrated with us because we're not giving you enough information, but think of the lesson that you're learning here. And can you see this lesson from gratitude for everything else you have in your life? Can you see this lesson from patience, stillness? Or do you want to fall into anger or resentment or whatever that may be? And I was like, that was a really good point. And it wasn't until I started to kind of lessen my hold on that and surrender that they started to then come back in. And they said, you being willing to dive in and check these other things that maybe you thought you had checked and realigned, you've now further realigned them with a greater foundation now for us to bring in more information. And I thought, always. And that always seems to be the pattern, right? So consider that for yourself, because the polarity of emotion is intense, but it is our powerhouse. And within that, your expression of the emotion is really important as well. So consciously choosing what you want to do with your emotions and then choosing how you're going to express them is important. If you need to stomp your feet in anger, then you stomp your feet in anger. But you do that in a way that you're not stomping your feet on people, right? If you need to express your love and your whatever, you do that in a way that is going to build people up and maybe not make them uncomfortable, depending on who you're dealing with, right? So just be thoughtful of how you are being in this world right now, because you get to really set the way you experience it by your perspective, because as they say, you create your own reality with what you know and what you do, which is very true. And many of us live in many different realities right now. And so honor your reality, but get co-creative in your reality to create the best one that you can. And so this, again, coming back to what I was talking about in the beginning with the solstice is shining a light now. We have the return of summer. We have the most amount of light available to us right now to shine a light on everything about our reality. What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? What's working for you in your emotional landscape? What's not working for you? And what can you consciously do to change it so that it better aligns with who you are moving forward? Because I'm going to tell you, around October at this point, again, remember they gave us this 4-month kind of heads up of energy. Around October, we're going to really be running into a new direction of growth, which I'm really excited about. So really take the time in this next 4 months to realign, reassess, strengthen, and grow in your peace and harmony of where you're going, because it's really going to benefit you with the energies that start really flying come October. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. I hope you enjoy this beautiful day and this beautiful week of the solstice. We do have a full moon coming up on Thursday. And as well, if any of you guys are interested, on this Wednesday night, I am doing a Cosmic Consciousness Circle all about solar consciousness, the energy of the sun, and the consciousness of the sun. And this info was given to me from the Arcturian Council. So it's really fascinating, and I'm so excited to share it. So if you're interested in that stuff, check it out on avalonspirit.com under the Cosmic Consciousness Circle. As well, we have some beautiful products available on Avalon Spirit. The Divine Ceremony kits are out and ready. As well, we have some beautiful bracelets too. So check those out. There's lots to see there. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I'll be back soon.